Hi folks, welcome. I'm Dan McDermott. This is Google Plus Week, episode 13, our unofficial look at the world's coolest social network. Joining me from around the world, literally, is a Google Plus Hangout. Welcome folks, good to have all of you aboard. We've got a number of folks from different countries and different cities, and I think it's just fantastic. So first of all, we've got a number of topics, and we open this up for anyone to add stuff. And a lot of folks get in there and are real active, and some just watch. But I always post it on my Google Plus profile page. You can get that at danmcdermott.net. That'll route you right to my Google Plus page. And right before every show, we do the show live Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, midnight GMT, 5 p.m. Pacific. We do the show live, and you're welcome to participate. It's an open forum. So first off, I want to talk about what we all went through yesterday, and that was some events in Libya. What happened, I was on my computer, and then my phone, I think it was a CNN breaking news alert or something like that, or an AP alert, whatever. I get all these different things. And then my phone blew up with the news that there apparently Muammar Gaddafi had been captured in Libya. And we'd heard this a few times, and of course the two sons were allegedly captured early, and then one of them, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, turned up at the Rixos Hotel, as one British reporter said, rather embarrassingly, in a classic British understatement. So who knew? But then videos started to leak, and then it turns out he was dead, and basically he was beaten and all but cut into pieces by a mob at the scene. It seems that he was, I guess he was in his motorcade. And the reason I'm talking about this on Google Plus Week is, as I was learning all this stuff, I posted it. I was posting videos. I think I was the first one to post the El Arabiya video because I was F5ing, refreshing, because I'd seen it on a TV channel on El Arabiya. I was monitoring everything, and then I was F5ing their YouTube page, and the second it came up, I posted it, and it was pretty graphic. One guy complained and said that someone had shared my video, my post, including the video, on his page. And someone had complained and said, well, this is grotesque, and I don't watch Google Plus stream for this kind of violence. And I was like, well, it's on every cable channel except the Food Network and Disney. This is news, and if you so that there you have it. I guess maybe he uncircled me or whatever, but life goes on. But anyway, so I was observing all this stuff, and I met a lot of people in Libya, in Tripoli and in Benghazi, and I interviewed someone today. It's on my stream, a real nice young lady, 23 years old. She's been in Tripoli for 20 years, since she was 3. She is a student, and she talked about, I just asked her, when I interview someone, I like to do the questions you would ask if you were sitting in a coffee shop next to them. And, what happened yesterday? How'd you find out? What were your thoughts? What's it been like for 20 years? As a woman, how do you feel? What about your rights? Because your rights were better under Gaddafi than in some Arab countries and or Muslim countries. And she just was really interesting, real nice young lady. And the point is, I never would have met any of these folks but for Google Plus. On Facebook, Twitter, I never would have met any of these people. And they were exchanging ideas with other folks on Google Plus. And I thought it was just so neat that Google Plus makes the world smaller. It really does. I've met so many incredible people, including the people in this hangout here, that I never would have encountered otherwise. And we've been able to exchange ideas and thoughts and philosophies. And I consider most of them my friends now. And it's just really cool. So I want to bring in Ahmed, who is in Egypt. Ahmed, welcome, sir.
Welcome. How are you doing?
Great to have you with us, and I appreciate you taking the time. I guess, what time is it in Egypt right now?
It's 20:30 a.m.
Oh, okay, so it's not too bad. I know, and I was talking to a guy in Malaysia, and it's 8 a.m. there, and it's all crazy times all over the world, and that's another neat thing about Google Plus. So, what are your thoughts from an American perspective? I know what I think, but you're in Egypt. You've gone through your own revolution, and what are your thoughts yesterday as you heard the news, and just in general, what's on your mind today?
Yeah, at first, let me define the word of a dictator as you believe, and as we believe, maybe it's different. We here define the dictator as being the ruler that rules the people and order, and the people must obey him. Yeah, right. Maybe you didn't define him as this, but you define that these people, this dictator, can rule the people with every order, and who disobey him can be in jail, can be even killed. You know that this man do that. The Gaddafi, I know that he did that. This man committed many massacres for his people. You know, who is this governor that kill people? This is Gaddafi. I know he deserved that.
What are your thoughts on the aftermath? They found him, and then they I guess just brutally beat him and shot him right there. Now, in my opinion, the guy had it coming, but then a lot of folks wanted him to face trial. But as is the case with bin Laden, it's my guess that they didn't officially say kill him, don't capture him, but they said don't put yourself at 1% risk. If you have to shoot him, you know, kind of the secret, without saying it, was kill the guy, because you don't want some long show trial. And like we've seen with some other cases like this, the guy's representing himself, and it goes on and on. Do you think it was better this way?
Yeah. His crimes was very clear to all the people all around the world. He killed in the past 2 months. He killed more than 2,000 of his people. Who he must be killed like that. I think that 2,000 he killed 2,000 and ordered the people of his followers do that. What do you think the people who his son is killed and who his brother is killed like that, who are waiting for him? That he must be killed like that. I think that.
Okay, I don't want to. I don't want to talk too much on this, because it's barely a Google Plus topic. I've kind of made it one, I guess, because it's the hot news story. But let me ask you this before we move on. In Egypt, you had a much more peaceful change. A lot of that was attributed to the fact that in Egypt, the military is very popular. It's a conscripted military. It's largely a homogeneous group, and it's not so tribal as compared to Libya. I think it's a more positive attitude from the army and vice versa. And so you were able to employ some real peaceful tactics, and Mubarak left. But a lot of folks are concerned that the same generals that controlled the country under Mubarak are still in charge. Do you think that, and a lot of talk show hosts in America are concerned about the impact of the Muslim Brotherhood, and that it won't be a secular society tolerant of all different faiths, and it will instead become, you know, something just as bad. Are you optimistic about Egypt's future, or do you think that these concerns are valid?
Well, I'm optimistic. Of course, I'm optimistic for that. The coming won't be like the previous thing. The previous days. I'd like to say that being after the revolution, the people who were forward to the President Mubarak that now still in charge, some of them still in charge, and that is a very huge problem we suffer from. We're trying to lose them out of charge as we can, but you know, I'm optimistic about the future of Egypt. Doing that very clear points of men that are coming in charge right now. We're going on political reform and everything, and reform in every single part of our life. As reform, would like to improve in every single branch of our life. We're trying to do every single every single improvement in our life, and it takes time.
Well, I think it's terrific. I'm so glad that we got to meet again, only because of Google Plus. Your country has such a rich history in Egypt. It's amazing. It's one of the births of civilization worldwide. It's a wonderful country, and it's so exciting to see you folks turning the page and having done it with minimal loss of life. It's just great, and we're all so excited. I don't normally speak for people, but I know everyone in here really wishes you folks all the best, and we're so proud of the way you guys have done this, and I just think it's fantastic, and we hope for all the best. Before we switch real quick, I want to bring Patrik in on this topic. Patrik, tell us where you're from and where you're coming from, and tell us how this played where you were.
Well, I'm from Sweden, and we have many immigrants or political immigrants here in Sweden that celebrated in our capital, Stockholm, as soon as the news break that Gaddafi was killed, and they weren't sad about that. Actually, one of the persons that they interviewed was actually happy that they did kill him the way they did, because if they would put him on charge, they would just give him a new platform to manipulate people and, well, put up the circus that's been around Gaddafi as a dictatorship. So they were happy that they didn't give him the chance to stand on trial. And, well, that's generally what people have said in interviews and so here in Sweden, from people from Libya and Syria and Egypt that celebrate with them here in Stockholm. So they were happy.
I think so. I mean, the guy had it coming, obviously, but I just thought there was this absolutely ridiculous op-ed in the New York Times that said, "Oh, now we're all in fear," and the UN came in on this about all these mobs with guns and stuff. You know, this guy brutally murdered so many people and made them read his musings, the Green Book, and just brutally held down millions of people for 4 decades. And there's a lot of anger that builds up over that time. And I just think that is, you know, as awful as it was to see, it wasn't for them, and it was just desserts. You know, if you brutally murder people and they react, you know, I mean, if you treat people like that, you know, in our lowest form, we're mammals, and if you back us into a corner and beat us, we're going to respond. And I think that there was just some ridiculous, I don't want to say crocodile tears, I don't know how to word it, but I just thought some of those things were just absolutely outrageous. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to a tech topic, and I know that let's go to a Google Plus topic on this week, or Google Plus week, and let's talk about I guess pseudonyms is the thing I want to talk about next. And of course, joining us, I had advertised that William Shakespeare was going to be here, but sadly, William Shakespeare could not make it. He's a little old, and he just went to sleep a little earlier tonight than usual. But joining us is Prisoner, a.k.a. Alan. Alan, welcome to the program. And tell me, Alan, do you have any thoughts on the whole pseudonym issue?
Well, it's good to, it's amusing to see that my AKA is Alan and I'm Prisoner now. Well, I've got some mixed feelings about it. When the news came out, this was, comments were made by some senior Google executives at the Web 2.0 conference. And amongst the questions, there was a question about what was going to happen with pseudonyms. And they said, pseudonyms are coming. They're not going to be here tomorrow. They're not going to be here in a matter of days, but they are coming. And the initial reaction around Google and around the internet was generally in favor. If I remember correctly, the EFF put out a press release saying some of the extent of Google is going to be, you know, Google pseudonyms are imminent. We've won the battle. And a lot of people kind of looked more carefully at the quote that was given when it came out, and people essentially started saying, well, you know, they haven't actually said anything. They didn't say when. They didn't give details. They didn't really say anything they haven't told us before. and they're still canceling accounts that have pseudonyms in them. So a lot of the people in the pseudonym community are kind of backing off and saying, let's take a wait and see attitude on this.
One of the other folks here, Melissa. Let me find Melissa here. Melissa, you just gave us a very interesting point that you'd like to be able to add names that you use on other services so folks can find you. What about that? What about something in between? Folks can choose to use a pseudonym. There already are some. I think Lady Gaga comes to mind. I don't think that's her legal name. Madonna, etc. But that's okay because, again, we're into the haves and the have-nots. If you're famous, you get special treatment on Google+. That's one of my pet peeves. But there is a difference in what about just allowing people to have nicknames there and say, like, if I was called Rusty or Shorty or, whatever, that they could find me that way. Does that make, what do you think about that?
I mean, that makes sense. I only know some people just by their nicknames. Even in high school, I only knew one person by their nickname. I never knew them by their real name. And being able to find somebody by their nicknames that you know on the internet, because barely anyone uses their real names on various forums and whatnot, it just makes things easier.
Okay. I got to make just a funny observation. I love your cartoon character picture, and you could actually voice that character.
Thanks.
Just by speaking. It actually goes very well. All right, so let's see here. Alan, he's got the... who else wants in on this? Patrick?
Yeah, I have a problem there because I'm a gamer. I play games. I have a lot of different usernames that I used over the years, depending on game and so on, but many associate me to a character in-game, not the actual Patrick that's sitting here. So I want the ability to use pseudonyms, of course. Sure, I can put them up in my profile, and I can also add other nicknames that I'm known by, but people will not find me anyway. I don't think so. I want to have a separate page for my gaming profile, so to say, because I want it to be separate from my personal profile. That is me sitting here talking about Google Plus features and stuff. That I don't want to be associated to my gaming. It's awkward.
Well, really, it would be a smart move for Google, not only to placate folks who, like we've had Mrs. Fours, the teacher, who wanted to have an online identity to have adult exchanges with folks, but all her kids that she teaches are on the internet, and she doesn't want them to be, stalking her, so she wants to have a separate identity. Prisoner, who everyone knows him as that in real life, and that was their thing. If it's a name you normally go by in real life, but then they have selective enforcement, and God forbid you should fall through the cracks at all in any way with Google, because you can't like pick up a phone and call. But really, if they did this, they would probably double their users overnight, because a lot of folks like Prisoner would Prisoner, tell me this: you would in fact, and I'm gonna get ready to go to Scott, you would in fact sign up with a Prisoner account with a separate thing, and you'd keep your Alan, and you would probably log into both every day, and they would literally have double the users. And your volume's down, Alan. They would dramatically expand their user base, because the registered users, I mean, they could sign up with whatever they wanted, and people would be logging in multiple accounts every day, and it'd be kind of sneaky, but I mean, they're battling Zuckerberg, the king of sneaky. What do you think?
I think this is actually something that Google is going to have to address in different ways. One of the other topics that we talked about, and I think Scott is going to talk even more about this, is that people tend to be on these online systems with multiple personas. So we may log in either professionally, and we might use a professional name for that persona. We might log in with a name that we use among friends. We might log in for a name that we use just among a very few extremely close friends. Google, with its circles, attempted to create a way to manage those different personas, but it left out the one key element about how we manage the names in those personas. So I might represent myself one way to a gamer group, and a completely different way to my office buddies. And one of the ways we might represent ourselves differently is through the name, through whatever pseudo we use in that group. I think this is a place where Google needed to tread very carefully, especially since it was supporting the same sorts of things through its circles. So I think that's maybe where we're seeing it. So you won't necessarily see more than one login. What you might see are more than one persona per login. What I think that will do, however, is increase the amount of time that people spend on Google+. And that's an even more important number to Google right now, I think.
I think that's that's an excellent point, as Alan often makes. I mean, prisoner. I mean, William Shakespeare. Now, let's get Scott Swain in.
I don't claim the bard.
Well, there's argument about whether he wrote it himself. Maybe you actually could claim it. Scott, what do you think about all this? I know you've got some thoughts on this. Scott, what do you think about all this? I know you've got thoughts on this.
Yeah. So I used to be more. I had the opinion before that we didn't need pseudonyms. That it was better for everybody if we had one login and one persona. And I've shifted my point of view on that. And part of that shift comes from at the Web 2.0 the other day. This kid spoke. His name is Christopher Poole. I think he's 23 or 25 now, but when he was 15, he started 4chan. Anyway, he spoke at the Web 2.0, and he is very much a supporter, it seems, of, well, definitely, he's very much a supporter of pseudonyms. And the point that he made that really stuck with me, I'm going to quote him right now. It's not who you share with. I mean, it is that, but it's also who you share as. And I just thought that was brilliant because it's like, and he, you know, and looking at real life and how we deal with all the people around us. I mean, I like to think of integrity as something important. Integrity in terms of being the same person across all the groups or all the people that you know. Yet there's a humanity, there's a norm, there's something very human and normal about being a little bit different with whatever group, whatever person, whatever people we're dealing with. Like when I'm speaking to kids, for example, I'm really being extra conscious of how I speak and what I'm saying, because I'm conscious of how quickly they learn and what they take in, and that their filters aren't fully developed. So there's one example. And I love what Alan just said about, I think that's very practical. I hope Google does this. It's one login, and then you can have as many handles as you want to have, and maybe one per circle. I love that idea, tying a handle to a circle. That's great. And in fact, when I was hanging out with Larry Page in my hot tub yesterday, he said that that's probably the way they're going to go.
Poetic license. We're back on our William Shakespeare theme. Let me get. That's interesting. Although if I owned it, I would not allow multiple pseudonyms under the same account. I would, and Google and YouTube don't have a history of allowing that anyway. Just to boost their number of registered users, so all these naysayers will be put in their place. They could, you know, make you log in separately, and I could have I got 5 computers sitting in front of me. I could have 5 different accounts. Although I'm not into that, but they would boost their numbers dramatically. Not only in registered users, but in actual like daily user counts. Let me get Shade Frost in here, who I'm guessing has an opinion on this issue.
God.
Yeah, well, it just blacked out. What happened?
You're good. You're good. We can see you, and
right,
I can hear you.
Okay, I think that having pseudonyms is really important for me because I'm an artist, and as an artist, you need, you know, you don't want to use your real name if it doesn't fit with your personality or the kind of music that you're doing. Let's say me, I'm a, you know, I work in music and stuff, so I don't want people to call me by my name. You know, I want them to call me by the name I want them to call me. So I chose something that was representing me and representing the music I was doing, and I think it's just like it's more it's more respectful to you know to be able to use your artist name instead of just being forced to use your real name, which is because there's a difference whenever you want to look for a job, and whenever you work for something. Like me, like I said, I'm an artist, so I need that name. But when I'm looking for a job, let's say I just wanted to apply to a grocery store, and I won't use that name, but that's a completely different story. So I would use my real name. But I think that what's the thing that G Plus should do is that you should be able to have your real name in and then your artist name in, and they should respect that.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you go by Shade Frost as your stage name, you would certainly have a different persona. You'd be like, hey, I'm so excited about, I'm performing at this venue next week. And if you pursue a gig, they're going to Google you to see if you're any good, right? And they're going to look up Shade Frost, and they're going to, you want them to discover your Google, on whatever search engine they use,
Exactly.
pretending that anyone uses anything other than Google, that you would, the post you make, the persona that you live as your artistic side, you would want them to discover, not your, Sam Johnson side.
Exactly.
Where are you calling from, or hanging out from, by the way?
From Canada, Quebec, Canada.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we have another Buoys here from Vancouver.
Yeah. My real first name is Shade, by the way, but it's just, just Frost that is like, my, but I wouldn't put my real last name because it wouldn't be, it would suck.
Well, but I think if it's good enough for Lady Gaga and if it's good enough for Madonna, then I don't see any reason why it's not good enough for you. Why should I don't see a problem with that.
Exactly. That's why they should respect it.
Yeah, but they welcome and encourage. I mean, if Justin Bieber came on, of course that's his real name, but if he came on the service, then I think there is an account I saw, and I don't know if it's him because he only has 2,000 people circle him, so I'm guessing it's not him. But they would welcome this. They get all excited when Will.i.am or something, and that's actually, sorry to shock you folks, his real name isn't Will.i.am, but they welcome that, and they have him in a featured hangout, and they do videos, and they post it on their official Google page. But so then, God forbid, you should do the exact same thing, with your account. So, okay, let me get, we got to move on. Let me get Harold Carey in on this, and then we're going to go to Katango. Mute. Unmute.
I was just saying, if I should use my pseudonym, should I use Harry Carey?
I'm sorry. Harold Carey Jr., not to be confused. Are you related at all, or is this just some curse that your family... They had a few beers when I was born. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, he's a great guy.
No, Harold is a family name. The Careys came over here a real long time ago with the Pilgrims. The Carey was he was the head of the Pilgrim colony. And so the Careys have been here a long time. Now, there's two Harry Careys. One is the Cubs guy, and the other is John Wayne's partner in all the movies.
Well, I would argue that there are three.
Oh, there's a third one?
You, yeah. All right, so what are your thoughts on the pseudonyms, the authentic, genuine, one and only Harold Carey?
Like I said, I can see it would be, everybody's been requesting for it. Like I was mentioning before, I was in the hangout with all the Google people this week. It was really cool to be in one of those broadcast hangouts. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that. Google is now actually broadcasting their hangouts, and they put them up in their YouTube video things. And the people in there were talking about that with the people who run the Google Hangouts. Chi Chu was in there, and a bunch of other people. And we're talking about all the new releases and things they're coming out with. And so everybody mentioned that it was really a good thing because we have so many requests and so many problems with people wanting to use their full names, their stage names.
All right. Okay, let's move on to another topic here. Let's go to Patrik in Sweden. Where's Patrik? There he is. And let's talk about Katango. Tell us, first of all, tell us what Katango is, and tell us why this matters.
Well, Katango is a company that have developed a way to handle big groups of people. So it's a competitor to Facebook, and they have programs that enhance the usability for networking, social networking especially. And Google Plus, well, have acquired Katango to use the technology they developed. And what it will change for us on the user side is that we will have a better way to, well, circle people, sort people in circles, and even find new people for circles. And it's not implemented yet, as I can see, but it's going to be implemented. And well, I cannot say that much more than what I read, that it's going to change the way we handle circles from the way we handle them today. We will have a better way and a better control of the circles than today. So it looks really promising. I found this on gplusinsider.com, and they released a couple of good news for Google Plus actually. And well, it's a gem. I don't know that much about it. I tried to Google about it and find some more about it, but it's just this really. And it's, well, a technology for a better handling of circles and way how you interact with other people on Google Plus.
Okay, let me switch gears. I think that'll be neat as they innovate. I mean, and they go. It's weird. They go through lulls of a few weeks where there's no news, and then I'm scrambling to fill this show, and then they just slam us crazy with stuff. And Steve Yeagy's always great. I hope he continues to post. What did you think about that, Patrik? The Steve Yeagy, the initial rant we talked about last week, and then he posted another thing, I guess, last night, and I put a link to it on my profile. But this guy's really interesting, isn't he? He's got, and I guess he was made fun of, and he said he posted this rant that was supposed to be private, or among his Google circle. And he said it was part 2 of a 10-part rant. He did the first one, did the second one. And as some of us have done, I did this with Mike Phillips. I sent him something like, how do you like the audio quality of this audio podcast I did? The compression ratio, blah, blah, blah. And I accidentally left the public on because the last post I had done was public. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't anything secret. But I didn't mean to post it publicly. So I did the exact same thing. Although if I were ranting about my employer, I would probably dot those I's and cross those T's, so to speak. But then it went viral, and then at the 2.0 conference, they were, I guess, making fun of it. Sergey Brin said, "Well, I only got through the first 1,000 pages or something," and then he said he encouraged brevity, and it was just hysterical. And then I guess he said the guy who wrote it said that he had been awarded, got a Darwin Award, which is if you die in a stupid manner, like the guy whose engine was overheating and he poured gasoline on it to cool it down. But just it was funny. What do you think? This guy's kind of got a clue, or is he overrated, or what? He's thrust into fame now.
He have a clue. I mean, that's like a daily rant of anyone in development. I mean, that is a creative process, how you work with things. You have to be able to criticize what you work with to make a progress and the changes that is demanded from the developers. Well, you have to criticize to get something to grow and become better. And even if it sounds very harsh and so on, I mean, that rant is, for me, just a healthy show of respect for the work he's doing. And even if it wasn't supposed to be a public post, I mean, it's a nice way to see that the way they work inside the groups is creative, and they are not afraid to criticize and down talk things. So for me, it is just that's great. I love it.
Okay. All right, and let me get. I got slightly confused here. I wanted to ask you real quick about the Google News changes. I guess you were prepared to talk about. Is it in India and the UK, right?
Yeah, I'm just curious because they do these changes to Google News in India and the UK, and it's a redesign of their services to the people in India and UK. And I know it's going to be a change as it is in the US versions, and I don't know the real changes, but what differs the Google News in the States from the Google News in, let's say, UK and India, or Taiwan or Sweden? Just makes me curious to see how they roll out these changes worldwide, and I don't understand why they have to have different ways to handle news in different parts of the world. Is this some kind of a hidden censorship for news, or what is it?
I can talk to that a little bit, because I can tell you that I have, as regular viewers know, I'm in the newspaper business, and we have sites that pick up to Google News, and it's odd how it behaves, but it reacts. Like if you post a bunch of pictures, sometimes it won't show up in Google News, but if you put a straight text and then you add a picture later, it'll show up. And I know that the Calcutta Times has actually quoted one of my newspapers over the alleged White House gatecrasher story, because it was involving the state dinner with the Prime Minister of India. And they have a very advanced media. India's no joke. We're talking 1.1 billion people. It's the second most populous country in the world. So, but maybe it could be a beta test, or it could just be different people who they want to encapsulate their skills in different areas of the world, and let them have their own thing, and see the same argument you can make about other things, about a federal policy versus letting the states do it, because if the states do it, you have, in the United States, you have 50 different versions of it, and then they can decide what works and what doesn't work. So it could be just that. I mean, I don't know if we're exaggerating the import of it. I'm not sure. But let me go to Alan up here, Priz, and let's talk about the late great Dennis Ritchie. And for folks who don't know, tell me what he accomplished and why he was a very important person.
Dennis Ritchie is probably one of the names in computer science that I'm willing to bet most of your listeners have never heard of before, and yet his the work that he did underlies probably every single piece of computing equipment that most of us deal with on a daily basis. If you use the Android operating system, his work is underneath there. If you use OS X, his work is underneath there. Even if you're using Windows, some of the concepts that he brought into operating systems are underlying Windows as well. Just about everything we do nowadays, every programming language that we use, every computing system, every operating system we use, goes back to some of the work that he did back in the 70s. Just about any computer scientist that's old enough has a copy of his book, The C Programming Language, which has now disappeared from my screen. Thank you, Jan. A copy of the C Programming Language. He helped design the C Programming Language. And C is the underlying language behind Unix, and he was instrumental in helping design Unix as well. So truly the computing science community, 2 weeks ago we talked a lot about losing Steve Jobs and how he was a visionary. In his own way, Dennis was truly a visionary who did some truly remarkable things. for computer science in general. And I wanted to make sure that people heard about him, understood just how much they owe to this man who got a lot of accolades in the community, but who, outside of a number of hardcore computing programmers, probably don't know who he is.
Okay, let me go. I've got to make a quick change. Sorry, I've got these new things and it's confusing me. I know I've got to add a quick topic here. Pam, you were talking about a bug you wanted to discuss. Tell me about this bug.
It's like the notification. If you get a notification and you go to click on it, you get this error, and you have to refresh the screen in order to see your notification or anything. Actually, it kind of freezes up or whatever. And sometimes when you go to comment on something and you press comment, you get an error. So if you type out this big long comment and then you get this error, you have to copy your comment into a Word doc and then refresh your screen and then copy your comment back. It can be annoying. And I'm using Chrome. And I have a couple of Chrome apps on there. I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but it happens all the time. It's happening now.
Yeah, I see that too, and I think it's just, I don't know if it's a throttling issue. I know it when you try to take these things up. Alan, you may be able to talk on this because you're a programmer, as several of you are. Scott is. Tell me, is this probably just a bug that they can fix? I mean, it's a capacity issue?
Well, we're sitting here in the chat right now actually trying to diagnose the problem. What it sounds to me, it sounds similar to something that happens if my authentication cookie times out, or if I have other authentication problems such as that. Scott speculated that it could be an extension, and that seems to make a lot of sense to me as well. Particularly as Google changes the layout of things, a lot of the extensions will break in some very odd or surprising ways. So that is certainly a possibility. As with any bug, I'm going to remind people that if you experience problems, send in feedback. I'll say it again, send in feedback.
Okay.
When you send it,
go ahead.
When you send in feedback, is it important to list the Chrome apps that you have running at the same time?
I would say it is important to tell them as much as you can. Certainly, yes, telling them what extensions you're running, telling them exactly the steps that it took to reproduce the problem, how often you're seeing it, anything that you could give that might give them even a vague clue as to solving it. Did it happen within the first 2 minutes of you logging in? Did it not happen until 2 hours later? Debugging problems, especially when they're not happening to you, is really, really difficult. So any information that you can give at all will help the debugger, suddenly have a flash of insight saying, aha, maybe it's this. And that might be the bit of information that it takes them to solve the problem.
All right, a similar issue. Let me go to Shade. I've seen this with circling. Sometimes because for example, yesterday, all hell was breaking loose in Libya. So I circled every Libyan I could find, right? And those who I interact with, I will move to my acquaintances or something like that. And but the others who ignore me and don't interact, I might nuke and circle when some other story is a hot topic because you have a limit of 5,000. But if you play around with your circles like that, you do hit sort of a throttling bug. You were going to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that I wanted to put like everybody that I had in my circle. I just wanted to clean my circles and to put it in the right circles. and then suddenly I got this bug, and I just it says error changing circle membership, and it doesn't let you add anybody after you get this bug or change anybody to a circle from a circle to another. So and after like 24 hours or something like that, it goes away. But I noticed that it's a problem that occurs that with the Gmail or something like that, because I tried to fix the bug myself while looking on the internet. So I deleted all my other contacts, and suddenly everybody in my circle disappeared. So I really don't know what this bug's all about, but it's really a burden, because whenever you're trying to add, with their circle share and everything, sometimes you want to add people to your circles, and then when you have too many people at the same time, you get this bug, and then people are trying to add you, and then you can't add them back, so people are thinking that you may not want to add them, or so that's pretty, annoying. And I noticed that a lot of people have been experiencing that bug for many weeks. And there's no fix. There's nothing. I've been looking everywhere, and there's no fix to this bug. They just, you just have to wait, and then it fixes it by itself. But other than that, there's no fix.
I'm guessing it's an anti-spam throttling kick-in, to prevent folks from just coming in there.
I don't know,
adding
because
everybody, it'll go in there, and
what's
then
this
I'm
bug
guessing
you're
there's a
talking about?
manual review or a time period.
I don't know, because I could, let's say I take everybody in my photography circle, and then I want to put them in my friend circle. Let's say I have 300 photographers, and then I want to put them in my friend circle, and I just switch them to my friend circle. But because I switch so many in one circle, then I get this bug, and it's not like I'm adding them to my circles. They're already in my circles, but I still get the bug. So I don't think it's
it's a definite thing. It happens, especially if once they introduced the ability to share a circle, to say here's my photographer's circle, or I've seen all kinds of crazy ones. I've talked about erotic writers, people who love Japan, tech geeks, people who love this specific game, all sorts of things. Some have 500 people in there. Well, if you have, say, 50 people you've circled, and you want to bump it up, and you find 8, 500, or 7, and you want to add 3,500 people, it won't let you. After about somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500, it'll kick in, or at about 2 or 3 circle changes, alterations of a mass number of people, deleting a circle. If you try to delete more than 1 or 2, it'll kick in. I think it's a throttling thing to prevent people who are spammers, want to create fake accounts and get you to buy their product or service. I think it's just what it looks at behavior, and I'm not sure if a human being has to look at you to see if you're real, or if there's just a time limit that kicks in. But most services have something similar.
Because it's not only when you're trying to add people. It's like, there's people who added me, and then I'm just trying to change them to another circle, like to put them in, like to circle them in something else, in another circle, and I still get the bug, but they added me and I added them. So it's not like, I'm not adding new people, so I am just switching them circle. Yeah, I'm circling them differently.
Yeah, I think what it is, it's a volume. It's about how many times you try to switch something, and I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, and I haven't gotten a straight answer from folks who work at Google who I've talked to about it. It's always, it's another department that deals with that, which is a largely true and very convenient excuse. But we'll see as it goes on. It becomes more and more popular. These little issues become more prevalent and more in the mainstream discussion, and then they'll have to address them. We need to get Steve Yagi to rant about this in a post, and then they'll jump right on it. Okay, let me go to Harold Carey, and I want to tell me about Hangout Canopies. What's the deal? What are we talking about here?
Well, Hangout Canopy is really popular with the people who are doing Hangouts right now. If you want to get into a Hangout, it's really hard to find people that aren't in your circle. So Chi Chu, which is the head of production for Google, he put this in his post that Hangout Canopy just came out with a new version. And what Hangout Canopy is doing, it's not just grabbing people that are in your circle, it's grabbing all the Hangouts that are going on through all of Google Plus and putting them up there. So you can actually have a little pop-down menu. I have a little pop-down menu here, and it shows right now that there are 19 Hangouts going on right now. And so what Google is really pushing now, we were in the API meeting with all the Google people this week, and they really want people to write interfaces with Google Plus. And so this is one of the most popular ones right now. And so Chi Chu was actually talked about this in his post and recommended it for people to use who are using Hangouts.
Okay, just so for folks who are new and don't know, you've been part of the largest Hangout, or the longest running Hangout, and I guess they meet with you folks every week, right?
Well, yeah, the longest Hangout ended at 77 days because people didn't want to stay up all night keeping it going, so we stopped it at 77 days. But yeah, Chi Chu and all the people there kept talking to us, and they would come in, and Vic and Tora, all the people who are running the Hangouts, and they usually have a weekly meeting that you can get in and talk to them. They open up a Hangout about every week where they want input from us, and you can get into there and talk to them about the things you would like to see.
Okay, all right, let me move to Patrick, and let's see here. Let me get Patrick involved. And you are a big presentations user. Tell me, there's some changes coming down the pike. Tell me what that's about.
Yeah, it's going to be a big change to Google Presentations, and I have used that for a great deal since I am out in schools and so on, and talk about drugs and stuff like that. So I do all the presentations in Google Presentations. So I don't have to have it on a PC, or I don't have to have it. I just use Google Presentations from any computer that is hooked up to the internet. So I don't have to have a portable or anything. I just lend a PC in the school. And the tools that you get in this upgrade, I mean, they sport over 50 new features in the new Google Presentations. I haven't had the ability to check them all out, but for me it was an eye-opener for a lot of them, because I can use my documents, my spreadsheets, I have a drawing editor and a lot of new tools to geek out with. And I can see the usability for anyone doing presentations or whatever. And just wanted to announce that. That's about what I had to say about Google Presentations, actually. It's a great tool. It's a great tool.
I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button. You want to talk about the Gmail user interface changes, I think, that are coming down the pike.
No, that wasn't me.
Who was that? Was that Priz?
Yeah, it was Priz.
Priz, what do you think?
Yeah, apparently what happened is there's a leaked video that is floating around on YouTube, and it was leaked out of Google itself, that shows updates to the Gmail interface, mostly making it so it looks a lot more like all of the other newer modern Google interfaces. If you've seen how the new Google Docs looks, supposedly the new Gmail looks very similar. A lot more white space, a lot of controls to let you control just how much white space, icons that are using graphics instead of words. There were a lot of people that were very worried that we were going to be losing Gmail as we've come to know and love it, but Google has come out and said, don't worry, Gmail is a really good, solid product. People like Gmail. I know there's been some talk about the new Gmail interface. This is going to be the new Gmail interface. So while it has some similarities to what people are seeing now with the new interface, there's going to be even more to it. So a lot of people are very excited about it. A lot of people are interested in seeing exactly what things are going to be in there that integrate with Google+.
And then I guess there's also going to be a change, or there's a new service, an iTunes competitor.
Well, that I assume is Google Music, which has been in beta for probably about a month now, maybe about a month and a half. It's very similar to iTunes and the new Apple iTunes Cloud interface. It's very similar to what Amazon is doing with their music in the cloud, at least conceptually. The way Google is approaching it is somewhat different than both of these. And it's going to be interesting to see exactly how it plays out.
Who's that? Is that Bowie?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I can't tell. I'm at a loss.
That too. They have Ubuntu One, which is like Dropbox, and Ubuntu Music. So basically, Ubuntu stuff.
And he's got that wonderful Vancouver internet broadband. We're having issues with your video. Your audio's okay, Bowie. Good to have you back. How you doing?
I guess he's got a delay.
He's got something going on. Yeah. All right. Okay. So I think we have I think we've hit all the official topics that we had left. Is there anything anybody else wants to add? Mike Phillips, you've been real quiet and you're subdued. I don't even know if he's. Are you still there, Mike? See if Mike wants to chime in. He's muted. I'm not sure if he's even there. I know he's logged in.
Google about Google Music maybe will be available for Canadian citizen or just for people from the US?
It's only for the US. I actually did receive a beta invite for the Google Music from a friend in the States, but when I was signing up, it is said that it's not available outside of the United States of America. So Canadians are not included, not yet. I'm sure Canada will be included really soon, same as with Google Talk and so on. You've been very early to get in on the betas.
Thank you.
Do you find yourself limited, Bowie, in Vancouver? Do you run across that kind of stumbling block sometimes where you find services, or do you find a workaround? Or do you want to admit that on this program?
Google Music and all that crap, man.
Say again, you were muted.
I'm sending you a link right now on how you can do it.
Okay.
I'm using Google Music because I re-registered, and I will not tell how I did it, but it's easy.
Google it. Defeat Google by Googling it, right?
I just told you how to do it. Chat.
Okay. Well, he's okay. All right. Any final thoughts here, Shade Frost, before we conclude the program? Any last thoughts here about this week, or a wonderful week in Google? And your graphics are amazing. I like your little.
Well, thank you.
Little fire effect there. Anything else? What else going on? You got a web page people can find you at?
Well, yeah. If they go to my profile, well, they can get all the information, like my Twitter account. If they want to listen to some of my music that I do, I have a link there and everything. Just one thing that I wanted to add that I really liked is that the topic we talked about, you know, the thing we talked about tolerance and stuff like that. I got some people, some haters, since you know, the public invites and it started out and everything. And so they came to my profile and in some of my hangouts and started to say, you know, stupid stuff and, you know, really mean stuff to other people. And they've been mean to me on my birthday and everything, and that kind of sucked. They flagged some of my pictures also, which weren't offensive at all. And I think that if we want to keep Google Plus clean, we should report and you know, get rid of these people, you know, that just want to, you know, piss you off or just, you know, be disrespectful or, you know, have racist comments or, you know, everything, like all sort of comments like that. I reported a couple of people like that, and well, so far they, like, G Plus did their job, but there's still some people posting really weird stuff and, you know, hanging out and still being really disrespectful with others, and they're still not banned or anything, and I think that that's an issue.
It's an issue with the difference between freedom of speech and expressing your, and you know, you present you're an artist, you're a musician, you present yourself in a unique way, you know that, and some folks might react in a negative way about that. Other folks may think it's, you know, you're going to be the Canadian Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga type big
not Justin Bieber. No, I hope not.
Yeah, definitely, we agree on that. Definitely not Justin Bieber. Any final thoughts, Melissa?
From half the conversation because my internet died, unfortunately.
Any final thoughts about this week in Google Plus? Anybody interesting you met or anything? Any exciting stuff going on?
I'm just hoping, like I said in the chat room, I hope they implement a -1 button. I mean, a website I frequent a lot, Reddit, has it, and it's a downvote, and it just helps so much with filtering through a whole bunch of crud that people put on. So only the stuff that's upvoted or good gets to the front of the page.
Okay. Yeah, that's a whole thing, about do it sequentially or when it's been updated or by priority. It'd be neat if you could switch. Like that's one I have to admit it. It's one good thing about Facebook is you can choose the latest post or the most relevant post based on their algorithm. So maybe they could come up with something similar like that. Scott Swain, final thoughts on Google Plus Week?
Been honored, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak.
All right, short and sweet. Harold Carey, Jr.
Yes.
Final thoughts.
Yeah. The most important thought, I think, is basically that on the longest hangout and the other places I've been on, we have been able to meet people all over the world, and we've been able to make very close friends with people we never would have met. And like, I talk to people in Asia and people all over the world that are really close friends with me now, and I never would have been possible without these Google Hangouts.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the most exciting thing. Just like I was saying at the top of the show, I think before you got here, or maybe not, but the whole interacting with folks on the ground in Benghazi and Tripoli yesterday while this was going down and getting their thoughts, and watching on my page or my profile or stream, whatever, these people arguing back and forth about different points of view. It was just so awesome to watch this exchange going on that would never have happened on Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah.
Patrick, final thoughts on Google Plus Week?
Oh, it's been an exciting week, but as usual, it's just a flood of news all of a sudden. So it's really hard to pick out, well, the good parts and the bad parts. It's just a flood. it's a bit like with the Gaddafi news and stuff like that. You have to pick out the good parts from the bad parts. It's been happening so much this week. And just to try to summarize it all, it's really hard, but I'm humbled to be invited to talk here. So thank you.
Oh, it's awesome to have you. You have a wonderful, wonderful perspective and a cool accent, so you're always welcome. And I really enjoyed on that same topic, the Ahmed from Egypt, who gave us his perspective on it. It was really interesting, all that stuff, how it went down, and the controversy over, my only fear on that, and then I'm going to Pam, but my only fear is they are so disorganized, as we probably were in the United States, as I'm sure Egypt was, in the early days, it still is. You can't just poop out a country, right? It takes time, and it's just amazing to watch. But I just hope at some point they get organized and get leadership and structure. It's kind of like watching our Tea Party movement or the Occupy guys. There's really no leadership or structure or official platform or anything. It's kind of just everyone does their own thing, and that can work wonders, and it can be bad. Pam, is it Adger? How do you pronounce it? Unmute.
Nope, that's right.
Okay.
It's Adger.
Any final thoughts on anything interesting happened to you this week with Google Plus?
Other than blocking a bunch of Wall Street posters that, you just get sick of it after a while. It's nothing but political, and, nope, that's about it.
I'm surprised you follow my stream, because there's a lot of a lot of politics and news in my stream.
Politics is fine, and if you post 1 or 2 a day, but it's like every 5 minutes, and they pick up stuff, and they don't check their stories, and it's all sensationalized, and I just hate to see people posting stuff without just checking the facts first.
Yeah, advocacy with limited facts is something that is hard to tolerate. And I agree with you. One neat thing about this whole thing is I've learned to have a conversation with someone who's a skeleton or a kitten or what have you, and take them seriously.
It's my Halloween. It's my Halloween thing.
And I guarantee that Shade Frost spends a lot more time prepping than you guys who are cheating with your Minicam programs. Shade spends like 3 hours prepping for the show. Alan, Priz, final thoughts. You're the last one I'm talking to, and then we got to wrap the show up. But how was your Google Plus week?
It was a pretty good week, a great show. Thanks for having me on. I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say it's always great to be on. I think it's going to be, it was an interesting week. I think next week we're going to start seeing a lot of interesting new features filling up as well. Vic and Sergey kind of hinted that things were imminent and about to be rolled out. I was honestly expecting for some announcements to take place during the show, but they didn't happen. So you thought last week was exciting, just wait till next week.
You ain't seen nothing yet, baby.
You got it.
As Harry Carey might say. I'm just kidding. All right, so I want to thank all you folks for participating, and it's great. This is a wonderful program. I get to interact with folks from around the world, as you can see. It's all live, and we do it at 8 p.m. Friday nights, Eastern Time. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Friday nights, Eastern USA Time, every week. You're always welcome. Check me out if you want to join the Hangout or you want to watch all the links and everything. Or thanks to Mike Phillips, who snagged the domain for me, danmcdermott.net. danmcdermott.net. And that works, and that'll get you to my Google Plus page, and you can see all the links when I post the different stuff up there. So it's great. It's awesome. And this was a wonderful week for me because not only were the new features and the latest Steve Yegi rant and all that good stuff that I love so much, but it was really interesting to interact with folks in Libya. Yesterday and today, I did an interview with a young lady, 23 years old. You should check it out. It's on my Google Plus page. And I interviewed her about what it was like yesterday and what it's been like to live under Gaddafi's Libya for the last 20 years. So it's really interesting. The kind of questions you would ask if you were sitting next to someone and just shooting the breeze with them. That's the way I like to do it. So anyway, thanks for allowing me to shoot the breeze with you, with my buddies, in a Google Hangout. I'm Dan McDermott, and this concludes this episode number 13 of Google Plus Week. I'll see you next week.